Don't look up, technician. Men like you are built to fix the floors I walk on, not understand the war I'm winning. Go back to your grease. They've bypassed everything. My life is over, Beckett. If you can track them, if you save me from this cage, I will leave.
In the high-altitude world of the Strategic Overwatch, rank isn't just a title, it's a wall. Director Seraphina Vanguard stands at the pinnacle, a woman who commands the seas from a throne of silicon and gold. To her, Beckett Cross is an invisible ghost, a lowly maintenance man who speaks to machines because he has no place among men of power. He is the discarded remains of a blacklisted past, a man who knows the secrets of the deep, but is forbidden from sharing them. But when the world's most advanced stealth technology turns into a weapon of terror, the gold stars and high-tech satellites fall silent. In the heart of the storm, the woman who had everything must beg the man she humiliated to save her from the abyss.
The air in the Strategic Overwatch command deck tasted of ozone and expensive cologne. Beckett Cross knelt on the cold glass floor. He adjusted a wiring harness beneath the central holographic projector. His gray workshirt was damped with sweat. He moved with the silent precision of a man who knew every bolt. Director Seraphina Vanguard entered the room like a sudden storm. Her white and gold tunic caught the blue glow of the monitors. Her midnight black ponytail swayed with every sharp step. Behind her walked a dozen high-ranking officers and analysts. They whispered about global strategy and power. Seraphina stopped abruptly at the main console. She stared at the crystal-clear display. A tiny smear of grease marred the edge of the interface. Her amber eyes narrowed until they looked like shards of glass. She did not look at the screen for long. She turned her gaze toward the man on the floor. Beckett did not flinch or move. He remained perfectly still in his kneeling position. The room went silent as the officers stopped talking. Everyone felt the temperature in the room drop. Seraphina pointed a manicured finger at the grease mark. Her voice was low and carried across the entire deck. She asked, who allowed a common laborer to touch her throne? No one dared to answer the director. She stepped closer to Beckett until her polished boots touched his knee.
Beckett looked up slowly with his storm-gray eyes. He apologized and stated he was finishing the emergency diagnostic. He kept his voice steady and respectful. He did not show the anger brewing behind his ribs. He was just a technician to them.
Seraphina laughed at cold and hollow sound. She told the room that his hands were a disgrace to the uniform. She said he belonged in a garage with broken engines. She took a silk handkerchief from her pocket. She threw it onto the floor in front of him. She commanded him to scrub the glass until he could see his failure in it. Beckett looked at the handkerchief and then at the officers. Some of them smirked, while others looked away. He felt the weight of 100 eyes on his back. He reached out and took the cloth. He began to wipe the glass with slow and rhythmic circles. Seraphina watched him like a predator watching a wounded animal. She told her staff that men like Beckett were just tools. Tools that could be replaced the moment they became dirty. She stepped on the edge of his sleeve. The fabric tore slightly under her heel. Beckett did not react to the insult or the damage. He finished the task and stood up with quiet dignity. He was a head taller than her, but he looked down. He handed the soiled handkerchief back to her.
Seraphina refused to take it and let it fall to the floor. She told him to leave her sight before he contaminated the air. She turned her back on him to address her commanders. The humiliation was complete and public. Beckett walked toward the service elevator in total silence.
Just as the elevator doors began to close, a red light flashed. A high-pitched alarm began to scream from the main console. The primary tracking screen turned a deep blood red. A voice announced that the Shadow-class submarine had just breached the perimeter. Seraphina's face went pale as the screens went dark. Red lights pulsed through the smoke-filled command deck. The Shadow-class sub was a ghost on the digital charts. Seraphina screamed for coordinates that did not exist. Her elite analysts stared at frozen screens in total silence. The sophisticated AI was a dead weight in the water. The heavy doors hissed open to reveal two military police officers. They stood behind a stone-faced general with a warrant in his hand. The paper called for Seraphina's immediate detention for treasonous negligence. The room went cold with the scent of a falling empire. Seraphina felt the world tilting on its axis. "You have failed the nation, Director," the general growled. Seraphina's hands trembled against the cold metal of her console. Her gold-rimmed aviators fell and shattered on the glass floor. She looked like a ghost of the woman she was an hour ago. No one in the room moved to help her.
She fled the deck before the handcuffs could close around her wrists. She ran down the service stairs to the damp lower levels. The smell of salt and old grease filled her lungs. She reached the rusted door marked acoustic maintenance. Her breath came in ragged and desperate gasps.
Beckett was there, sitting in the shadows of the basement. He was surrounded by glowing vacuum tubes and ancient copper wires. He did not look up as she burst into his sanctuary. He was listening to a pair of old, heavy headphones. His storm-gray eyes were closed in deep concentration.
Seraphina fell to her knees on the oily concrete floor. Her pristine white tunic was stained with black sludge. Tears carved jagged paths through her perfect makeup. "They are going to take me away, Beckett," she whispered. Her voice was a broken thread of its former self. Beckett slowly removed the headphones from his ears. He looked at the woman who had crushed his pride earlier that day. He did not offer a hand or a polite smile. He simply waited for her to speak the truth. The silence in the room was louder than the alarms. "If you can find that sub, I will give you everything," she sobbed. She grabbed his rough, scarred hands with her trembling fingers. "I will marry you and leave the Vanguard name behind forever." She promised to stand with him if he saved her life. Beckett felt the heat of her hands against his old scars. He looked into her amber eyes and saw total surrender. He did not ask for a contract or a witness to the vow. He simply nodded once with a grim and heavy finality. "I will find them," he said. He stood up and discarded his gray work shirt. His back was a map of old tactical scars and faded ink. He began flipping heavy switches on a machine from a different era. The hum of the old radar drowned out the distant sirens. He looked like a king finally claiming his throne. He ignored the digital virus that had blinded the high-tech satellites. He used the physical vibrations of the ocean floor instead. His fingers danced over the analog dials with terrifying speed. He was no longer a lowly technician fixing floor panels. He was a hunter, tracking his prey in the deep. A single green dot flickered on the round glass screen. Beckett grabbed a radio handset and keyed the encrypted frequency. His voice was cold enough to freeze the blood in the room. "Target acquired at Sector 7-9er," he announced. The hunt had officially begun. The general burst into the basement with his guards. He stopped dead when he heard the voice on the radio. Beckett was barking orders to the carrier strike group. The officers behind the general looked confused and frightened. They had never heard such authority from a technician. "Sector 7-9er, depth 60 fathoms, Beckett said into the mic. His voice carried a weight that demanded absolute obedience. The general stepped into the light of the vacuum tubes. He looked at the man he had ignored for years. His eyes widened as the realization hit him. "Commander Beckett Cross," the general whispered with a trembling lip. The room went so silent you could hear the dust settle.
The officers who had mocked him earlier backed away in shame. They realized they had been insulting a living legend. The air in the room felt heavy with regret.
Beckett did not look away from the green sonar screen. He guided the interceptor jets to a non-lethal point. His fingers moved with a mastery no computer could replicate. He was a predator who had finally found his mark. He didn't need satellites to see the enemy.
A loud cheer erupted from the radio speakers on the wall. The Shadow-class submarine had surfaced and surrendered to the fleet. The national crisis was over in a matter of minutes. The man in the oil-stained trousers had saved the capital. The elite stood frozen in the presence of greatness. Seraphina watched him from the corner of the dark room. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She saw the tactical scars on his back in the dim light. She finally understood who she had tried to humiliate. He was the master of the very systems she claimed to own.
The general turned to the stunned crowd of elite analysts. "He designed the stealth you all failed to manage," he said. He explained that Beckett had been blacklisted to protect a state secret. The lowly technician was the greatest mind in naval history. Every officer in the room lowered their head.
Seraphina felt a wave of hot shame wash over her face. She remembered throwing the silk handkerchief at his feet like trash. She looked at her own white tunic, now ruined and black. The heiress felt smaller than the man she had mocked. Her pride had been a hollow mask. Beckett switched off the old analog monitors one by one. The hum of the machinery faded into a heavy, peaceful quiet. He turned around and wiped his hands on a dark rag. His storm-gray eyes met Seraphina's amber gaze. He didn't say a word about his victory.
She did not wait for him to speak or move first. She stepped through the circle of high-ranking men toward him. She reached out and touched the jagged scar on his knuckles. Her fingers were no longer trembling with fear or anger. She looked at him with a new, burning light.
"My promise stands before these witnesses," Seraphina said clearly. She looked at the general and then back at Beckett. She told them she would leave the Vanguard name behind. She chose the man who had stayed silent while she was cruel. She was ready to leave her world for his.
Beckett finally allowed a small, tired smile to touch his lips. He pulled her into his arms as the sirens outside stopped. The elite stood in total silence as he led her out. The technician had won his honor and his bride. They walked together into the first light of dawn.